Can sad music influence depressed people to commit suicide, even if the artist had no intention of making a song that would make people going through a dark time cause harm to themselves? I am someone who has had my own battles with depression, and I still have days where I'm down. They're just not as bad as they were when I was going through that deep depression. One thing I do know about being in a dark place is that when I would feel sad, I would purposely listen to depressing songs so I can feel even sadder. Now, when I say I purposely listen to depressing songs, I don't mean as I intended on making myself sadder. I would do that because that sad song is the only thing resonating with me at that moment. And what I mean by that is, it's the only thing that understands what I'm feeling. I believe that subconsciously, we need to feel or hear certain things so we can justify our feelings. Between 2019 and 2020, I was dealing with chronic depression and anxiety. I spent those 2 years wanting to leave everything behind, and a number of times I tried to commit suicide was a lot. And during that time, feeling depressed was the only thing that felt right to me. It's crazy when I think about it now, but when you're in that state, it's like you have no concept of time and you're forcing yourself not to feel any happiness. And as soon as you feel the slightest bit of happiness, it's like the devil taps you on your shoulder to remind you that your time of happiness is almost up now. It's time to come back down to this lower state of being where you're contemplating whether that brief moment of happiness was real or just another one of Satan's illusion. Concern should drive us into action and not into depression. No man is free who cannot control himself. Pythagoras. When you're depressed, it's like you become a prisoner to your mind. It's almost like your brain has become this external force causing you to feel like you're not in control of yourself anymore. And sadly, you won't notice that until you take the time to receive help and heal from that type of pain that you were going through. When I look back at how I was feeling when I was going through my dark days, it makes me sad because in those moments, I felt alone and trapped inside my mind and my heart. What's important to remember is that each person has a moment in their lives where these types of feelings start to manifest. For me, it started when I was a kid living in an abusive household. Life was hard for me back then. I took a lot of mental and physical abuse, constantly being reminded that I was less of everyone and being excluded from anything fun. I remember when I was around 9 or 10, I was being locked in the back room of the basement like a dog because I wasn't allowed to be in the house while everyone was gone. Now I could understand being forced to go over a friend's house for the day, but this was extreme and inhumane. But at that moment, I knew that I had become a prisoner in my own household. The years that followed were tough. The amount of physical abuse I had endured spiked like a stock on Wall Street. And it wasn't until I turned 15 when the physical abuse stopped. Fast forward to my junior year of high school, I would find myself going through a time when I lost complete control over my mind. January 26, 2016, I would get the word that my cousin committed suicide. I was devastated, and at this time, I was just a 17-year-old kid starting to live his own life. When I heard that, it felt like I was on top of a building in the middle of collapsing. At that time, I didn't understand what depression or anxiety was. I just knew it was times I would feel down and lost in a sea of dark thoughts. As I got older, it felt like depression and anxiety had become part of my life. And anytime I would feel happy, I would immediately tell myself that this is not me and that I don't deserve to have any fun or excitement. Today, I realized that a lot of the time I was forcing myself to feel depressed because that feeling had been with me half of my life. And depression pretty much became my best friend. It was the only real thing I had in my life at the time. Subconsciously, we harm ourselves when we don't seek help because it was times I would do things for attention just because I believed my feelings were justified. It's important to remember that we have to gain full control over our minds after years of living with depression. I realized that I also was forcing myself to feel like that. At times, I didn't even have to feel like that. I had become a prisoner of my thoughts, convincing myself that I had no one on earth who cared about me and wanted to see me live a prosperous and long life. And that's also from a self-harm. I'm still recovering because change takes time. But I remember being in that dark state of being, looking for things that could make me feel even sadder. And I found that there were songs that could amplify those feelings. I don't blame the artists for making sad songs because that's their way of expressing themselves, and that's saying about the darkness that they feel when they're behind closed doors. I remember hearing the term hurt people hurt people, and I believe that sometimes we don't know when we're hurting someone because in our minds we're expressing our thoughts and feelings, but even that hurts those around us. It's important to me that I have things I could do that can help me remember the good and loving people I have in my life. I'm not all the way there as I write this, but compared to how I was feeling just a couple years ago, it's like I jumped into a spaceship and blasted off towards space. I feel on top of the world. Healing takes time, but we as people must allow ourselves to be open to it, to be open to change, because tough times don't last and we have to seek help so we can deal with the after effects of those harsh moments we went through in our lives. Another thing I've come to realize is that sometimes those of us who have battled with depression can be healed and enter a period of self-peace, but to remain in that state of well-being, we must maintain self-confidence. I say that because sometimes when we enter that state of happiness, we can easily be brought back down and fall victim to our past transgressions, and that can lead us to feel that empty, dark feeling we felt before we even found self-peace. I speak from experience when I say I know the feeling of being happy one moment, then all of a sudden feeling depressed and suicidal. I believe most of us who have gone through depression can sometimes intentionally bring ourselves back to that state because that feeling of being happy doesn't feel real to us. I think that's why some people commit suicide. The reason being, our minds tricked us into thinking that our happiness was fake, and I think that stems from us getting bored with our happiness because that's not a feeling we can relate with ourselves. Whatever the case, it's hard to feel like you're all alone in this world. When you're in that moment when time stands still and it's just you and your thoughts, just try to remember all the beautiful times you had. I know you feel like giving up, but please don't. You have people in your life that will stand by you. Just try your best to find loved ones who you feel comfortable explaining your thoughts to. Maybe they can relate to what you're feeling. As someone who has walked through that darkness, just listen to my words. I care about you. Life is not all sunshine and rainbows, but that's what makes life so beautiful. There are no perfect humans. Everyone feels that touch of darkness. You must remember, you're not alone in this. Try to step outside of your comfort zone and seek out a support group of people dealing with depression so you can listen to other people's stories and share your own as well. There's a saying that if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. Please don't choose to go alone. It'll only make your situation feel that much heavier. Instead, opt in to go with a team of people who know what you're going through. You will find that you all will heal a lot faster rather than if you were to travel alone. My name is Dominic Moon. I appreciate you for watching this video, and I wish all of you the absolute best on your journeys. Remember to take your time with life. Until then, please take care and remember to enjoy life.